Hello and welcome to the impzonepod podcast. We're back once more again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And I've been asked to do a subscribe, follow along here on the channel because I keep forgetting. So please subscribe. Please help us get some more subscribers, get this content out to more people. Even if you think you're subscribed, check if you are subscribed because we do not have many subscribers. And most people are not subscribed. So it really helps us out to get more videos and more content to more people. And more people enjoying it means better and more content overall at some point, because it shows me that people actually give half a rat's ass about this, and it motivates me to do more. All right, so we're talking about the WWE recent releases. Now, these aren't going to matter for about 90 days, we know that, but something that's funny, because we're in February now, or just we're still early February. I'll say we're early February, because February is a bit weird because it doesn't have nearly as many days, but still, whatever. Early February right now, and this, I believe that this has actually just happened in the last few days or what have you. So this has been a little bit of news, but I've been trying to hold off as long as I can to try to get as many people on this list as possible that have been released or will be released. I don't know if this is going to be the full list of people, because somebody might be released in the next few days or in the next few weeks or whatever it is. I don't know. There have been a lot of people that have kind of been released in the past and are already free agents, like Indy Hartwell and a few other people that we've kind of talked here and on and off about. And I kind of want to go through a list of some of them again and kind of have a think about the potential for some of them to join TNA or not to join TNA. But we'll go through the list of these recent releases first. Now, again, as I said, these aren't going to matter for 90 days. And it's one of those things that, people can forget, like this. That's one of the things, especially for some of these people, because some of these people are not big names in the business or haven't really made a big name for themselves in the business. But, still some people know of them. So they can fade into somewhat obscurity, they can fade away into that obscurity to some extent, because this is just one of those things. Actually, I think there's one person that's on here, I think it's Blair Davenport, that I think recently got called up to, was it SmackDown? I'm not sure. Anyway, and I feel like she might be on an NXT contract, therefore she might have less days on her contract, unless they actually updated all the NXT contracts to be the same amount as the main roster. I'm not sure. But I'm still going on the old system maybe with that one. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just saying that, like, some people, like, in 90 days could go really quickly. But, like, also 90 days can be like eons in the professional wrestling world. Things can change in a heartbeat in the professional wrestling world. And that's the problem as well, is because the hunger of the fans is kind of like, right here, right now, give me what I want, and then whatever's next, give me that immediately after it. Like if fans were in charge of booking, everything would be like if somebody was having ADHD booking, like Vince Russo style booking, because they want what they want and they want it now. They don't, but yet they really care about the stories, but it's like, yeah, we want it now. We don't want to hand it to us in a couple of months' time. We want it now. Okay, we've got it now. Right, cool. And then move on. 2 weeks later or whatever it is. It's like, oh, okay, no, we want this now. And now we want this now. It's like, now we're getting sick of this. Now we want something else. So it's one of those things. But anyway, Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering. Okay, great tag team, along with a great manager. original manager of the Road Warriors. Great tag team. TNA needs more tag teams. I feel like these guys are more of a heel tag team. And I do feel like TNA needs more face tag teams, but just more tag teams wouldn't be bad either. Like I do feel like they could fit in pretty well in TNA. They could get lots of opportunities there, but it is tough again because it's like, well, you know, something to say about like bringing in just people for the sake of bringing people in. Don't just bring people in for the sake of bringing people in. You shouldn't do that. Like, that's what AEW is doing, and they've got 1 billion people over there. And it's like, dude, for frick's sake, just stop. Even though you've got like 30-something shows now, and they're all 60 hours long or whatever it is, it's like totally ridiculous. Like, yet you're still not using half the people that you've got, and not even using the people that you've got that you are using to their fullest extent. But whatever, they could be good. Sonya Deville, I think she's been around for a long time. I'm not quite sure how many years, at least 10 years, at least 10, 15 years. She's been around for quite a while. I think she actually go to AEW for a short stint or something at some point, I think. And then WWE brought her back, and then now she's being released again. I have the feeling she was already in AEW. Like, again, like a lot of these people, I don't want to say like we're going to get these people or whatever, but I'm just going through the list and saying, what do I think about some of these guys or some of these gals or whatever it is, and their potential for being in TNA. Like I think Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering, yeah, they could be in TNA. They could do some good stuff in TNA. Sonya Deville could be in the women's division, could do some good stuff in the women's division, certainly. Cedric Alexander, I don't think he's ever really, like, had a good run. Like, he was IC champion there in WWE for a little while. He had that Wakanda Forever gimmick that they stole effectively. And I know Sting stole the Crow gimmick or whatever and whatnot. And, like, they really based Scott Hall's gimmick off of Scarface and things like this and all of that sort of stuff. So it's not to say that these gimmicks can't work, but, like, when you're just lazy and you're just like, oh, this movie's trending or this movie's, a thing, let's do this with that person, especially when it's 3 or 4 or 5 years later, it's like, oh, yeah, that was, great pulse, fingers on the pulse there, people, like, I know it was sort of like right at the same time, but it's just like, dude, like, no one believes that this guy's, whatever it was, a prince or whatever else it is. I mean, there's so much only so much suspension of disbelief you can do. Maybe if you had made him king, king of the ring, and then done that, like, could have made some amount of sense. Like, he suddenly feels like he's the superior one or whatever else, and tapping into his roots or whatever else it is, and now he's, the Nigerian king. It would have actually given him a reason to actually have the gimmick, rather than now he's just royalty for no reason, without it ever having been brought up before. A bit silly. I do think that he could be an alright fit in TNA. I think he could be a good, like, maybe X Division wrestler. I think he could break out into being in that upper mid card. Potentially, depends what they want to do with him. Isa Dawn, I'm not too sure much about this person, or this young lady here. Yeah, I haven't seen much of her work. She obviously could fit well into the Knockouts division. She's a singles wrestler. I think she's a singles wrestler mainly. Yeah, because she's not really, like, maybe she had something to do with Sonya Deville, I'm not too sure. But yeah, like, for me, like, that division does need a lot more female wrestlers anyway, so wouldn't be a bad pick. Good Brothers, now, they've already been in TNA, and, like, not to say that they couldn't be again, but I feel like AEW is more the place for these guys, like, like, honestly, like, I think, like, they wanted to go to New Japan more than they wanted to go to TNA. But TNA was like, hey, we've actually got money for you guys. Whereas New Japan was like, we don't have hardly any money for you guys. You know, and I think they wanted to go to AEW, but they had some sort of heat with the Bucks at the time, or some sort of perceived heat with the Bucks at the time. So they didn't want to go to AEW. Over that, like, I'm not going to go through all the things here that were or weren't or whatever, but just saying, like, now that they've sort of, fixed up those issues beforehand and whatever else, I don't know if there's any other outstanding issues or whatever, they can just easily go to AEW, and then they can do New Japan shows as well if they really want to, because that's what they want to do. Now, I haven't heard from anyone else saying, hey, we don't really want to go to TNA, or we don't really want to do this. That's up to them. If they don't want to do it, that's up to them. Like, a lot of people, like anyone, like, but if you have your thoughts of saying, well, I was just in WWE, and we have TNA does have that partnership with WWE, so it's kind of like, almost like I've still got that foot in the door, and, if I stick here for 6 months, a year, or whatever else it is, and I hone myself, and I get up there and whatnot, and people, start to notice me, and, hey, whoa, we shouldn't have released this guy. He's made a killing for himself. Let's hire him back, That's what you're up to do. Like, but, far as the Good Brothers, yeah, I'm not against it, but honestly, I will be extremely surprised if they came to TNA. I just don't see it. Giovanni Vincacci, or however you pronounce his last name here. I don't know much about this young man. But I guess he's playing some sort of Italian gimmick. I don't know. No, I've got no clue about this young kid. Young prospect, obviously. Probably, like, you could probably bring him in, perhaps, like, but I wouldn't prioritize it. Like, there are other people that are on this list, and there are other people that are out there on the indies and whatnot that I would, prioritize before this young man. Not to say that he's not worth looking at, but, yeah, sorry, excuse me. It is one of those things. So, yeah, no, I don't know. It is, like, we've seen a few people come and go through TNA in the past, and, like maybe they've changed in the last few years, but, like, I guess my perspective will still be the same, because there are still a few people that are, on this list that are, we've sort of seen before. AC Romero, we've seen him. Aiden Prince, he was barely on TV in TNA while he was there, like, but we have seen him. Manu, he was in WWE for a hot cup of coffee. Andrew Everett, hey, like, he came back a few weeks ago. Would kind of be nice to see him back more permanently, because he was a big part of TNA. in the old days to some extent. Um, Brian Kendrick is a controversial one, so I would say stick away from that. Um, Caleb Conley, aka one of the suicides, Cameron Grimes, aka Trevor Lee. Like we've seen, um, Trevor Lee. We've seen Suicide. Like Suicide is TNA's creation to start with, anyway. Um, yeah, I still think that he should be in TNA. At some level, because it is always TNA's character. Chris Masters, we've seen him. Crimson, a lot of people remember him from being in TNA. Daga, a lot of people remember him from being in TNA a few years back. He was like, I don't know whether he wants to work with Tessa or they can, work that out or whatever it is. Elijah Burke, D'Angelo Gennaro, like, bro, bring back the Pope, bring back the Pope, baby. Like, they had him there for so many years, and he was on commentary, and he did okay at commentary. I think they fed him too much like joke gimmicky stuff, or he maybe threw too much joke gimmicky stuff out there um, while he was in that position. Um, but whatever. I still think he can be a very good pro wrestler because I think he still wrestles today, but I think they really missed their boat with them, or with him back in the day. Like, he should have just been wrestling, dude. Like, why was he on commentary? Like for years. Like, just because they didn't have another person for commentary. Like, figure it out, guys. Have the Pope wrestle. Don't have him, in unless that's what he wanted to do. Just I think that he's a wrestler. You know, if he's commentating a few matches here and there for a storyline or whatever else, something okay, we understand. But like when you're like, oh, he's gonna be just a commentator now, it's like, what? Um, let's see, Fuego del Sol, like Fuego del Sol. Um, Grand Metalik, crazy. Um, let's see. Homicide. Homicide's an OG of TNA. Let's bring him back. Jake Christ. James Storm. Bring back James Storm, bro. He's TNA original. Like, what's he doing? Nobody knows. Bring him back. You know. Jimmy Jacobs. I think Jimmy Jacobs was released by TNA, and he's a smart cat to the business. I don't know whether he, like there was something there, and something happened and whatnot. So I don't know what's going on there, but I still think Jimmy could be a good asset and could do something, even just as a manager or as a mouthpiece or a backstage person. Kalisto, he was there for a hot cup of coffee there too. So why did he, get gone? Congo Kong. Maybe he was there before, but like I don't know whether he's still, as big as what he was. So, he needs to lost a bit of weight, I think, to make sure he's got that athletic size rather than just being kind of like big and clumsy. Mace Warner's already in TNA. So some of these haven't been updated properly. I think Marty Scroll kind of got into some controversy recently. Matt Cardona, he wants to stay as an indie, it looks like. Yeah, I'm not going to touch Speedball Mike Bailey. I'm not. I think they already invested in that. Mustafa Ali's signed with TNA. No Jose, he was in TNA back a few months back, but I'm not too sure that he really fits well. Isn't PJ Black? What's his name? God, I'm blanking now. But yeah, no, I think he was in TNA a little while back. Not that he should be again. Rick Boogs, Riddick Moss. A couple of the Von Erichs are free agents. I'm just going through this to see if I can find anyone that I feel like would be a good asset. Shane Douglas, like, he used to be in TNA, bro. Like, what's going on? Sonny Kiss, like, they turned up in TNA a while back and did some things. Why not? Like, yeah. There's a few people here that I'm not too familiar with. So Alicia Fox, you know, Sienna. So Ali Catch, Angelina Love. Bring back the beautiful people, bro. What? Peyton Royce and what's her name? I think they're both retired. But yeah, I think there was an interview out there at some point. But why is Giselle Shaw out of TNA? I don't know. Let's see. ODB, bring back ODB. Come on. Su Young, like, what is, like, something is going on with Su Young too. Like, I kind of want to know and hope that things are going well there. So, yeah, I don't know. Charlie Haas, hey, Charlie Haas, he turned up in TNA. Why not bring him back? Chris Harris could bring him back to do something, even just as a manager or something. John E. Bravo, he was gone a little while ago. Don't know exactly why. Let's see. Anybody else that I feel like could be... Hey, Shark Boy. There we go. But, yeah, not... yeah, there's some names here, obviously, that I'm skipping over. There's a lot of names here, but these are the ones that stick out to me that I know who they are, or I've heard of them, at least to some extent, or they've already been in TNA, or whatever, that sort of thing. Like, you can already start to make the argument. Well, they've been there before, or, like, they've got a name to them, so it's like, well, they could be, you know, worth the time to at least look at, or at least think about, or whatever it is. Sorry, I just collapsed there, the microphone. So yeah. No. Yeah. Like, realistically, this is what we need to do. Though this is the, like, again, 90 days is forever in some regards, but it's also like zero time at all as well. Like, that's one of those things. Like, there is a few people that are on that list of recent releases, and there are a few people that are on the indies, so to speak, that they could quote unquote call up. And it's like, at a certain point, you need to realize, hey, we're not just calling these people up to call them up or whatever else it is. It's like, well, this person got injured, and that person got injured, and this person got injured, and this person's leaving, and this is happening, and this is doing this, or whatever else it is. Like, we need to not only be like, we have these guys that we are already invested in, but we need to bring in new people. Like, Leon Slater is pretty new to the company, but everyone seems to have gravitated to him fairly quickly. Like, and he also already, not part of furniture, but he already feels like part of the furniture to sort of say that. He feels like he belongs there. He doesn't feel like he's out of place or whatever else it is. He feels like he fits in and that he's actually got something to work with now. With the system, with Moose, with all the things that are kind of going on right now. And he's doing a good job, I think. You know, and he's got a lot of people. The Hardys. He's got Nick Nemeth. He's got Josh Alexander, at least for now. He's got the system, everyone that's in that system. And, like, everyone that's behind the scenes, whatever else, he, like, because he's still young, he's, you know, been in this for a few years now, but he has gotten a lot of experience. But the thing is, like, I think he should have been given the opportunity to be on the live broadcast last time. He should be given an opportunity this time, in my opinion, as well, because, you know, that's one of the things that really sets TNA apart, is that X Division, and giving that X Division a big showcase and saying, okay, Leon and somebody, whoever it is, I don't care, realistically, give him a good heel to work with and let them go for, you know, good 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, in the opening match. Or maybe, like, I think the closing match is a bit tough unless you've got something else like the Hardys or whatever else, or a title on the line or something like that. Then it might be like, oh, okay, let's see if this kid can do it or whatever. But, you know, like, beyond that, it's like, well, what's the draw of the show? Well, why are they getting the main event? It's like, no real reason, like, unless you have something more major planned. Like, if it was just the opening match, well, it's still major in some ways. You're setting the tone and whatnot, that sort of thing. Getting the crowd pumped up for the night of wrestling and whatnot. So we know the main event next week. We know some of the matches. Oh, excuse me. Next week, yawning here. But we don't know what's going to happen on the 20th, which is the live broadcast, and sometimes that helps. But, like, it's obvious, like, some of the things we'll see, because we'll see Joe Hendry, surely. You know, we'll see some of the major players. We'll see the system. We'll see Mike Santana. We'll probably see, you know, like, these people, these major players, and that sort of thing. Because, well, you've got to sort of put your best foot forward, so to speak, in terms of these, like, live shows, in terms of these broadcasts. Because, again, like, you know, you never know if you're going to get that, you know, surge of, like, okay, people are going to tune in. And I still don't know that how many people tuned in last time. But still, like, thinking that anything, well, not anything, but anything can kind of happen, like, that's the kind of TV that you need to build. You know, and this is, like, they're taking that gamble, and I was talking about that gamble a while back and saying, you know, is anyone ever going to go out on a Thursday night? You know, like, it's not a traditional night of people going out. Traditional nights for going out for people, in my opinion, are Friday and Saturday. Like you've got your 5-day working week, Monday through to Friday. Friday you get off, and then you're like, oh, okay, I've got the weekend off, you know, until Monday. So I'll go out and go crazy on Friday or whatever it is, drinks or whatever else it is or whatnot on Friday or on Saturday. You get those couple of days to go, yeah, come on, let's go, hey, woo, or whatever. And then it's like, okay, now I need Sunday to recover or whatever it is. And then, oh shit, now I've got to think about going back to work, So, and I guess it's one of those things that some people do as well because it's like, yeah. But anyway, guys, I think having looked at that list and having thought through that list and having another look at the current sort of free agents right now, yeah, there's a couple of names here and there. I kind of feel like we was talking about it a while ago that it sort of feels like, bro, like we need to think about like the people that are in AEW that are just kind of like, I'm waiting for my contract to be up. Like Malachi Black. I know Phoenix is going to WWE, but Rusev, like there's a bunch of other people that are there that are kind of like, oh man, I can't wait for my contract to be up. But it's like, well, like yes, of course, the idea is that they probably want to go to WWE, but like they should look at like not just look at the success stories of like Cody Rhodes or whatever or whoever. Like that was their problem before. I think a lot of these people just looked at the success stories that were kind of there, and then when they went there, it was like, oh, okay, we haven't got much for you. But they shouldn't just look at that success story of like Cody Rhodes because he's like one of the only few people that's gone there done something thus far, really. Look at Andrade. He's gone there and he really hasn't done anything. Like he doesn't like, and this is again my problem with some of this is like people expect too much type thing in some ways and expect it too quickly in some ways as well. But again, he's not really doing anything. So it's like, well, come on, like do something big with him. Like put him in the IC title picture and, keep him there and keep him strong or give him some stories to work with or something, not just he's here and he exists but we're more interested in this other like if you were like more interested in other people, like why are you hiring this person? It's like, oh yeah, we don't know because we could and because we wanted to steal someone away from AEW. You could have just said, hey TNA, maybe you're interested, because we don't know whether we're interested, we don't really have much plans for him. So it'd be a nice return, but whatever, just like, and that's for the same thing from WWE's perspective. Like the talent should be like very open about saying, hey, come on, are you really going to do stuff with me? I don't want to be mucked around with. I don't want to come in and just job to people. I don't want to be just stuck in the mid card or just like not going anywhere or not doing anything or not having something significant to do. Like that's the number one for me. Like telling stories and doing something. Like that should be their like priority. And I think that that's something Josh Alexander said recently, about his contractual status is that he wants to tell some stories and whatnot. So again, it feels like, and he wasn't actually on that list, which is crazy too. You need to think about this. You need to think about, as a talent or even as an organization, okay, how many wrestlers do we have? How many hours of TV do we have? How many of these guys are we actually going to need to use? Like, seriously, like, are we really using all these guys, even as just, like, enhancement guys? Like, for real? Like, serious? Like, we really need all these people? Like, we've already got so many people. We've got too many people to be trying to figure out all these other guys. Like, like, it's ridiculous. Let's not bring this guy in. Let's just say no and move on, because we could not spend the money and like save some money and save it for something else that we really want or really need or really feel like, no, this is an investment we feel like is good. Like Penta. Penta is a huge investment, even though that he's, not really done anything yet, but he's gotten over. And it seems like they've got big plans for him and whatnot, just based off the reactions of the fans. Like, the reactions of the fans have been, overly positive to Penta thus far. He's come off like a big star, and, like, he's really fitting in well thus far. And it seems like he's, doing the right thing and listening and whatnot, and doing things how WWE tells him to do the things, modifying his style or whatever. So again, it's one of those things. You need to have this. You need to have this honest perspective, like it. And same with TNA. Like, if they bring in like this young kid, it's like, who the heck is this young kid? There's no, or going to be not really much, connection from the fans. It's going to be like, unless you start doing vignettes or something like that to introduce this new character, it's like, you can't expect the fans to, like, especially for younger or newer talent, to know who this kid is. Like, and that's the same thing with some of these other people. It's like, even when they debuted Mason Walker or whatever his name is there, it's like, I have no clue who this guy is. Like, but since he's debuted with SDL, it's like, oh, okay, all right, and now he's in a feud with Callahan, and that's given something for Callahan to do, which is good, because Callahan wasn't doing a whole lot before, and now he's got something to sink his teeth into to some extent. So that's good. I like that. And it's got to come to a head at some point. I feel like it's probably going to be a sacrifice. Maybe something will happen on the live episode. I don't know. But, like, realistically, it's happening at Sacrifice. Like, everything's probably happening at Sacrifice. The thing is, it's like, they haven't really booked any matches for that show. And it's like, yeah, it is in March, but, like, by the time I think it's probably, like, some of this, like, perspective kind of things where it's like, yes, we know we've got to try to book stuff for that show, but we don't want to take away, like, the importance of this Full Sail show, because that's a really important show and we really need to sell tickets for that right now. That's the thing that we need to do. We need to be focused on the Full Sail event and selling tickets for that. We cannot go ahead and, go without selling the tickets for that first. We really need to figure out that. And even if they're not going to have, like a card, like I sort of said, of these is what you can expect matches on the show, it's like, well, at least, like, you can feel like, yeah, this is going to be a live show and it's going to be good. Anything can kind of happen type thing. And you're going to see the major players. You're not going to just see, like, mostly random jobbers or whatever else it is on the show, because, like, well, we just don't have time for this. Like, we need to focus in. And again, I don't love the shows that are just like, here's all our main players, but, like, you need to have those shows, because those are the shows that, like, especially early on, it's like, okay, here's our major players, and maybe we'll sprinkle some stuff in there with them here and there throughout, but now we want the other people that are less major players to shine. It's like, yeah, we're, giving a bit of both. Give a little less time to the major players, give them a couple of minutes for a promo or something or whatever else it is, or a segment or something, or a backstage thing or whatever else it is, and then move on and say, okay, here we are, we have, whoever it is versus whoever it is, or whoever it is having a promo else or whatever it is, which turns into a match or something or whatever it is, yeah. But anyway, that is where I'm at with this list of people that have been released, people that are free agents, what I think, who I think would be an all right fit, or who I can think of as going, oh yeah, I know who that is, or whatever. Because that is the problem. Like, if I don't know who it is, then I would consider that, like, because I'm still pretty hardcore as far as being a wrestling fan. If I don't know who somebody is, then 90% of people aren't going to know who the flub somebody is. Because I'm pretty good at knowing who some of these people are. But, like, I still don't know who a lot of people are. So, yeah, but if you haven't crossed my radar, I'm obviously going to be like, who the flub are you? Like, obviously. So again, like, they need to impress. Like, they really need to impress in their first few weeks or whatever else it is, or especially like the first appearance. But again, like, in those first few weeks of appearing, or that first month of appearing, you need to impress so that people can get, like, okay, invested in whatever it is you're doing or whatnot. So, but yeah. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you join me again in another one.